All videos on this channel are intended for adult Star Wars enthusiasts. Hello, and welcome to Star Wars Obsessed Watching! In this episode, we're going to talk about The Mandalorian. And in this episode of Watching, Gary is with me! Yay! So, Gary, what did you think of The Mandalorian as a series?
I enjoyed the series very much. It's definitely concise, which makes it better than a lot of others. Not having all the fluff that kind of weighs down. You get this very clear story.
Yeah, with only 8 episodes.
And only, 35 to 40 minutes.
So you got very tight storytelling, and it's pretty fast-paced. So, yeah, I agree. It's a good show. I think the beginning, I was like, it's alright. But as the series progressed, it got better and better.
Once they introduced Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda's awesome! Let's talk about each episode of The Mandalorian. So, episode 1. This episode was pretty good. It's basically an introductory episode.
Yeah.
Where we learned just a little bit about the Mandalorian.
Yeah. They just basically let us know that he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah. He's a bounty hunter, and he takes bounties, and I did like IG-11. I really enjoyed how IG-11 fights by spinning his body around. His arms will go back, and his head spins, and body spins, and I like the interpretation of that droid.
I liked Cruel, the Ugnaught. I liked him.
Yeah, he was pretty cool too.
But what was it he would say?
I have spoken.
I have spoken. I don't know what it was about him. I liked his confidence, the character. And the fact that it's played by a female. And it was like,
but voiced by
Nick Nolte. And the confidence was really cool.
Yeah. That was neat seeing an Ugnaught outside of Cloud City. My Star Wars universe revolves around just the movies. I didn't really do much of the expanded universe. I didn't do any of the expanded universe. I didn't read any of the books. I was like, Ugnaughts, they're only in Cloud City. But then I had an extra Ugnaught and I put him in the cantina for Tatooine, and I thought, who knows? Maybe an Ugnaught leaves Cloud City. Why not? That can happen, right? So now with The Mandalorian, it's been established for me that Ugnaughts are not only in Cloud City. Any more thoughts on episode 1?
I like the blurg, right?
The blurg.
Those things were really interesting.
That's so funny, the name, the blurg.
That beginning bounty, when they have to deal with when he doesn't want to deal with the droids. I hope they do finally explain what his issue is with droids, or if that's a Mandalorian thing, or if that's just his thing of not liking droids. Because it was kind of funny. I enjoyed. It's like, here's this really nice vehicle, really pristine, looks in working order, and instead he's like, he wants the trashy one because it's operated by a living sentient being. Yeah,
hopefully they do answer that, why he has an issue with droids. But that's part of his character, and that's something we can learn in another season, right? Okay, episode 2 of The Mandalorian, which was a very amusing episode with The Mandalorian dealing with the Jawa. The Jawas.
It was a frustrating episode for me.
Why?
The Jawas, and I get it, that's their character, but I kept getting frustrated. It's like, I wanted the Mandalorian to kick their ass. Because I just kept seeing, they kept taking his stuff. And I was actually getting frustrated for him.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I wanted him to kill them all. I was like, die! You stupid little beasts for stealing all of his stuff. And I know, that's their character. They scavenge, they find stuff, and they take.
Yeah, and it was kind of annoying that it was like his stuff, but they're like, no, you can't have it back unless you do something for us. Like, but it's his stuff. It was neat seeing the Jawas expanded.
Okay.
Like the one jokes at the Mandalorian saying he speaks like a Wookiee, right? Or them trying to fend off someone climbing their sandcrawler. So we got more Kuil, so that was pretty cool. I like that character.
We got to start to see the powers of Baby Yoda.
And seeing Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda is so adorable, very mischievous. I guess you could say it's an establishing episode because
It sets their characters.
I guess it sets their characters because not much really happens. He basically just wants his stuff from the Jawa, so he has to do a fetch quest to get this egg, and we learn that the child has force powers, gets the egg to the Jawas, and he gets his parts, fixes ship, and then he leaves. That's pretty much it for that episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Again, because it's all tight little packages.
Yeah. Okay, episode 3 of The Mandalorian. So what'd you think?
This episode had a lot packed into it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You have him coming back, you have him turning it in, you have him asking questions, you have him getting the armor, wanting to find out more, to going back and trying to, and not just trying, but rescuing, and then having to fight everybody. It's like, this was a very fast-paced, lots of stuff packed in. I like this episode because this really kind of starts to solidify kind of the moral direction that this Mando is going to go in.
Yeah.
The only thing is that I don't know where he's getting the moral. I mean, because they established the fact that it's not normal for him to ask about this, right? Yeah. So what is it about? Is it just that because it's cute that he bonded with it and then now he feels something? Or we don't have the motivation for the moral code? That's what I'm still missing.
Not yet.
Not yet. And I don't know if that's ever going to be really given to us, or if that'll be given to us in a future season.
Well, I think he wants to rescue the child because he was rescued as a child. So
okay.
I think he's connecting.
That's where I was kind of leaning towards too, but that hasn't really been, I don't know about explicitly said. I guess it's just vaguely implied. And so I'm looking
maybe by only episode 3 it's as vague.
It's really, so I'm looking at it going, why would he do this? Why would he abandon this other code for a new code? Not that I'm not happy that he moved to this new code.
But even the other Mandalorians seem to be okay with it because they help him escape.
Yeah, and they expose themselves. They've established that they're all in hiding.
Yeah.
And so they expose themselves to help him do this. So I would like to know, maybe, and the thing is, I don't know whether they expect that there's other stuff in canon that because I know there's other stuff about the Mandalorians in canon that because we haven't followed, maybe they're expecting us to already know this.
Yeah.
And maybe
which they shouldn't.
And so that could be a problem with the writing.
Yeah.
If they're expecting us to already have this pre-knowledge of these characters.
So far in episode 3, I was having trouble deciding if I was enjoying the show basically as a fan, because there were constant references to that period, because it takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so there was a lot of familiar imagery, like the stormtroopers, the torture droid, I say, oh look, that's there, and you got Jawas, Jawa Sandcrawler, oh wow, all these familiar things that just made my, nostalgia buzz, or
I like that nostalgia buzz.
Gave me that nostalgia buzz is the only thing I think of. It was very exciting. It was a wonderful feeling to see all that again. I mean, if you strip off all of that nostalgia, and just look at it for the show that it is it really that special? Is it really that good? Or is it just working on our nostalgia? Okay, so that's our thoughts on episode 3. Moving on to episode 4. So, the Mandalorian visits a different planet and expects to stay on this planet of people who are agrarians. Yeah, they're agrarians.
This is kind of an interesting take because that's like the origin of the word pagan, is that they're the farmers, they're the non-military class.
Yeah.
Right? So they're the people who don't participate in that religion, right?
Yeah.
To the Romans. So you could call them the pagans.
Okay. It's an episode that kind of reminds me of, Star Trek, how the TV show, like Star Trek The Next Generation, I guess, how they, they're constantly exploring, and then they visit different planets and they learn different cultures. It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah. It's funny because I was thinking of it from a different thing, because I was thinking about how with Star Trek, it's all about the not interfering in other cultures.
Yeah.
And here he is, he's flat out going to be interfering and teaching them. And
yeah. So the Cara Dune character is pretty cool.
Yes,
I like her.
I like her a lot.
She's kick-ass.
I like the actress, and I
Yeah.
always wanted to see more of her in stuff. So it's really cool to see her on this, and I hope she comes back for the next season and we get to see more of her.
Yeah.
I liked her movies. What is it, Haywire?
She's in Haywire.
Yeah. So I think that I actually think that she's a fine actress.
And also in Deadpool, she plays that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she's a fine actress, and I think that she's got some good action skills. So I hope they bring her back.
Yeah. It's a fine episode. The thing that really perplexed me was the ATST because it rises out of the forest almost like it was alive.
Yeah,
like
especially with the way they did the red eye and everything.
Yeah, the red eye, it's red eyes, and then it rises and then it starts going. It's like, is it sentient?
Is this like, did they put like a droid's brain into it or
Yeah,
something?
it was very strange because you don't even see a raider inside.
True.
They don't show them at all, and then when it goes to like over to the water, it just stops like doing this kind of thing, you know, like a creature would, you know, like whoa, not going there kind of thing, you know. It's
The thing that I thought was interesting was how they kind of started to build up kind of an emotional attachment between the Widow and the Mandalorian,
yeah,
as though that would trigger a "we need to be here" kind of a thing.
yeah. But it also was fascinating is the notion that he wears that helmet all the time.
Wow.
At first I was like, wait, so how does he eat? So does he sleep with that on? So I was kind of being dumb at that time.
And
Like
then they show the scene.
Obviously, when he goes to eat, he probably eats by himself.
Or he would eat with other Mandalorians. Do you think they take their hats?
No, because they're human. No other living being. So they are living beings, so they would not take off their helmet. I was like, okay, so obviously when he eats, he has to eat alone. Unless he like sticks it like under the helmet like this and tries to...
Or they have a liquid diet.
Or use a straw, you know? Yeah. So then I was like, oh wait, okay. It can't be that he sleeps with it, and eats with it on.
Well, I could see them sleeping with it. Just eating would be the thing that would be difficult.
Well, sleeping with it, if they're alone, I don't think they need to worry about it. But if he sleeps with somebody, that's kind of awkward.
Would you have to have sex with the helmet on?
Probably.
That would just be weird.
This episode is fine. Mandalorian visits a planet, has an adventure on a different planet, and then leaves. All right, time for episode 5. This episode had my nostalgia buzz going crazy.
Obviously the intent.
Because that was the intent. They got him on Tatooine, and he goes into the cantina, and it was fabulous. I thought it was interesting that the droid as the bartender, like, was that EV-99 since she was unemployed after Jabba the Hutt died? Is this the same droid? I was just like, what? It was so cool seeing the exteriors of the cantina, Mos Eisley. Just all of that. I was loving it. But that's what I'm saying is, am I loving the show or loving the nostalgia?
I loved Amy Sedaris.
Amy Sedaris was awesome as the mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
She was very memorable. At the
she at least
bay.
we got a good amount of time with. I love Ming-Na Wen who played Shand, but I felt like she was underutilized. Like, she's a really good actress, and she's a really good fighter. It's like, it would have been nice to have seen a little bit more of her.
It was cool seeing the speeder bikes. It was cool seeing the do-back.
Oh! When you see Cannavale's son, the one character, he's sitting in the cantina with his feet up like Han. So there's another one of your nostalgia buzz. They wanted to get you in the feels.
All these things from Star Wars. It was just in this one episode, and it was amazing. On to episode 6. Gary, why are you sleeping?
That episode.
What?
I slept through it.
Was it that boring?
Well, it could have been boring.
So you didn't see much of it?
I don't really remember much of it at all.
Oh. I started to feel that the structure of the series was kind of like The Incredible Hulk or The Fugitive, where the main protagonist visits different places, and then there's a story, and then there's an adventure, and we're done with that story, and then we go on to something else. You know, that started with him going to the Navarro, and then he goes to that one planet with the agrarian people. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to Tatooine, and then we do this. And so that's what I was thinking. Wait, is this what the show's going to be? This is the structure? Is that we're just going to be like the one lone character visits these different places, meets new people, has new adventures, and then takes off and go, and we never see these people again. That's what I was thinking the story was going to be. That's the structure was going to be based on this episode. The character of the Mandalorian, I do like. Up to now, we don't see his face, but he still has a really high moral code. You can tell that he cares about the child. He even wants to help people, as we saw with the Agrarian Society. I like him.
And you did tell me I didn't really miss much as far as the story arc goes, though.
Not really.
This is like the one lone really filler episode.
It was almost like a filler episode.
Because like when you go back to like the Agrarian one, we're establishing the rules for his helmet and his face that he can't be seen. We're establishing the fact that he'll pick the child over anything else, and in the way he leaves. So it's like, even though he's gone to this place, it does still move the story. It moves his character along.
Yeah.
But on this one, we're just reinforcing.
Those prisoners who basically stabbed him in the back, he didn't outright kill them. He just, captured them and put them in a cell. So he's not just like this cold-hearted killer. I guess this episode reinforces that character.
And especially when you think about the role of the bounty hunter of dead or alive, those different things.
Yeah.
So he's obviously, it's only really when it's kill is necessary seems to be I'm only going to kill then.
Yeah. Okay, episode 7.
Oh my god, it's another one of those, we pack a lot into an episode. This definitely not going to sleep through.
Yeah, it was a very exciting and action-packed episode. Again, there's more nostalgia buzz with the more speeder bikes, biker scouts, stormtroopers, Minox. Seeing all this familiar imagery, I love all that stuff.
I love getting back Cruel and bringing back the people that we started with, that they're not just throwaway characters. So Cara Dune, even IG-11 coming back.
And that's when my opinion about this show changed from, this is just going to be the character go from place to place to place, meet people, have an adventure, then leave, and that's it. No, it all changed here when all those characters come back. We go back to Navarro, and our adventure continues there. It was so cool when Kuil reprogrammed IG-11 and turned him into the nanny bot. I was really bummed that they killed off Kuil. Because I like that character, and they just go and kill him off. There was a lot happening in this episode. It was very cool. Lots of awesome action. And the special effects is really good.
I do love that I was reading about with Baby Yoda being the puppet, right? That they chose to go with the puppet, but that they had filmed a lot of the stuff also with the CGI, so that they could kind of go back and forth. And the ultimate decision was the CG just never looked right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yay. Because there was an article talking about The Mandalorian and Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and how this new golden age of puppetry is coming back and being really strong. So I was really happy to see that. And they're saying how these type of characters can make you feel in the moment.
Yeah.
And definitely Baby Yoda, he feels present, you know? Whereas with the CG, you always have that question about whether they're really looking at them or not.
Yeah.
He definitely is there. And I love that.
Okay, episode 8, season finale, which was awesome.
Also heavily packed. I like the scene with the biker scouts when they're sitting there and they're doing target practice.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
And the banter between the two of them.
Basically trying to shoot the can on the ground or something, whatever it was, and can't hit it. And that was hysterical.
The nice thing is that you have some of these tragedies. This is definitely Star Wars with the balance of tragedy, sacrifice, heroism, winning, success, and humor. It's like it definitely has that really good balance.
Yeah, they get it. More nostalgia buzz. The Imperial Troop Transporter. So I hadn't seen Rebels, but it was neat to see how the troop transporter functions, and that the compartments where the stormtroopers are standing in opens up like that. I'm dumb. When I was playing with my toys, I just imagined the stormtroopers climbed out. They just climbed out of it. Such an idiot. But it makes more sense that it just opens up and they just run out.
It doesn't matter. You're cute. You know, when they're stuck in there with the flamethrower guy, I thought it was interesting. It's like Baby Yoda's doing that. But before that, he saw that the Mandalorian was injured. He'd already healed the guild guy. I kept expecting him to run over and heal the Mando. It's like, what the heck? I think it would have flowed better if the flamethrower guy had come in sooner. But there was such a time lag that I kept feeling like, well, shouldn't he have already tried to heal him?
Yeah.
I mean, unless we're supposed to assume that he knew that this flamethrower was coming through and he was going to have to save his strength for that.
Yeah.
And he had some like force, cognition kind of thing going on.
I really liked IG-11. What I liked about it is that they turned him into the nanny bot. Mm-hmm. And he was all about, protecting Baby Yoda. They get ambushed, and so he basically says, the only way I can do this is I have to self-destruct. And this is what I liked about the Mandalorian. It's the character is that he's a very strong character and a strong code because he really disliked droids. Mm-hmm. When he saw that the IG-11 had changed and was willing to sacrifice himself for them, he was basically like, no, don't do this. He changed. He was like, don't. And then IG-11 says, don't be sad. And then he says, I'm not sad. He says, yes, you are. I love that scene. And that he was actually sad that this robot was going to kill himself. And that's a really strong character.
Yeah.
I like it. And I was bummed that the nanny bot got destroyed.
I
loved IG-11, the nanny bot. That's what they need to do. They need to release an IG-11 nanny bot that has a Baby Yoda and protecting Baby Yoda. That's what they need to do.
That would be really cute.
Yeah.
What about the R2 unit with the really long legs?
Yeah, that was different. The fairy droid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Really cool design. Very different. Very exciting episode. We got to see the Mandalorian's face. I honestly didn't think that we would get that, but we did, and so that's pretty cool.
Especially considering the way they did that with him eating. It's like if they already were hiding his face from us while he's eating by himself, the fact that it kind of makes you think, oh, they're not going to show us his face.
Yeah.
But then we get to see the face there.
Yeah. We have a reference to the Empire Strikes Back with Bacta. Bacta being the fluid that they immerse Luke Skywalker in to help him heal.
I still find it interesting that IG-11 thought that the way to protect the child was to take him into the middle of the danger. That's probably my only little complaint, is that we had this little contrivance moment without an explanation as to why.
That's what's really great about this. They're very short episodes. And they just move. It just moves like that. Yeah. I thought it was cool when the Mandalorian gets his jetpack.
The Rising Phoenix.
And then he gets his signet. By the way, his armor is really cool. I never mentioned that. I just love how it looks. Then the Mandalorian has to fight Moff on the TIE fighter. On the TIE fighter. And then, obviously, when it landed, it didn't explode. So we knew, okay, he survives. But then he comes out with this, I know it's not a lightsaber because I've actually seen this and they call it a dark saber, but I know nothing about it because I didn't watch any of the Clone Wars shows, so I don't know anything about the dark saber, but it was a pretty cool thing. Well, that's it. It's a very good show. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. A lot of nostalgia buzz. Alright, thank you for watching Star Wars Obsessed. If you liked this episode, give it a thumbs up and click subscribe. And if you want to be notified of upcoming videos, hit that bell icon. And you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. See you on the next video.